What's good, y'all? Welcome to my review for episode 23 of Stone Ocean. Almost done. Got one more episode left. I don't know if y'all can tell me my voice, but I'm tired. It's getting pretty exhausted, man. Kind of burnt out on reviewing JoJo. But hey, still got another 12 episodes. I'm assuming coming next week, I believe, is when the last batch of episodes is going to be dropping on December 1st. And yeah, almost done at least with the second batch, so hooray to that. Anyway, guys, this episode's fantastic. Loved it. A lot of interesting shit in this episode. And yeah, kind of one massive tribute to Memento. That's kind of what this entire episode was. I didn't even see Memento. I'm like, bro, this is literally just Memento. But I don't even know that it was even out yet at this point. But whatever the case may be, man, I love this episode. So let's jump right in. So he starts the episode off with Dio, I guess, explaining how this process was going to work for him to like revive him or whatever the fuck the plan is with this green baby for him to ascend to heaven and all this shit. And basically said that first he needs to stand. Zawudo! I had to do it, man. In fact, actually, right after I finished up the reactions of the episode, which, yes, I did record and react to this episode, I went back and watched that scene with the Japanese just to see if he said Zawudo, like, full meme on like he did in part 3. And surprisingly, he did. He only said Zawudo rather than Zawudo. Kind of wish he kept the meme going and said Zawudo. But, well, either way, whatever. Anyway, he explains the rest of the process, how you're gonna need to stand, you're gonna need someone you trust that isn't interested in sex, or sex, profit, powers, any of that shit. Although I couldn't tell if Dio was talking about himself or Poochie, because he says, will I ever find anyone like that, when Dio, like, talking to Dio, but they show a picture of Father Poochie before he pops up, so I think he might have been saying it to them both, like, he could also say if he could find someone, which ended up being Farpucci, and telling Farpucci if he'll ever find someone like that. Was kind of a little confused on what exactly that was about. But whatever the case may be, he continues on, saying that you're going to need to chant these words, which is the same things he chanted in the last episode that I didn't mention in my review. But I was always kind of like, what the hell is he chanting? What is he saying? This, that, or fucking, what the fuck? I forget what half the chants even were. But, that's what he has to chant that before he gives the bone and everything to the baby. And he also says he needs to sacrifice 13, I think it was like 36 sinners, because people who have committed heinous sins have like the perfect energy to get this to, get the process to work. And he's going to need to be in a specific location. He said like west longitude 36 degrees, 13 minutes, north latitude 68 degrees, whatever the 15 minutes. I forget the very specific numbers. But anyway, that's when we get to see Father Poochie's new design after he's now been, I guess, absorbed with the baby, I guess. His hair is much longer. He has now like a star shape on the front of his head. Honestly, I kind of dig his new design. I think it looks pretty cool. I think a part of me kind of prefers his old look that we've seen early on in the series. All that could just because we're just more used to seeing it. But, dude, I kind of dig his new design, man. He has like way longer eyelashes, which I think that's probably the one that's killing it for the design for me, is just those eyelashes. Besides that, I think everything else looks cool. And I think his longer hair that kind of goes through the back of like his collar also looks really good. It's just those eyebrows, man. They ain't looking right to me. But I don't know how the rest of y'all think. Maybe you guys love the design. Maybe you also hate it. Whatever the case may be. Either way, I dig the design regardless. I just think the eyebrows are just the eyelashes rather, are just a little much. But yeah, he ends up leaving the prison, saying he no longer has any use for the prison. Now that, of course, he has a baby under his protection and everything, he doesn't have any purpose to keep going to this prison. So we get back to Emporium as he's sneaking through the disciplinary ward to get to Jolene. He comments about how tight the security is, and eventually he finds her and tells her that Father Pucci has left the area and it is with no baby in sight, and he has let the prison to go to whoever. And so Jolene asked him if he sent the discount to the Speedwagon Foundation, if he contacted them, and she also mentions that she's so bored she gave herself a belly ring. Don't know how clean that he could even be inside of a prison, but hey, whatever. And we actually do get to see it in parts of the episode. They never really focus on it, but you get to see it on her body in like wider shots, whatever. And I gotta say, I fucking hate it. I think it looks stupid. I think it just kind of ruins her design a little bit. But hey, maybe like Cody's neck tattoo, it'll eventually grow on me and stop bothering me. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see on that. Kind of hope it doesn't stick around, though. Kind of hope she, like, I don't know, gets, like, disappeared. Rocky just forgets to start drawing it, or the animators get rid of it. I don't know. I just don't really like it. I think it kind of looks kind of dumb. But, hey, that's just my personal opinion. Anyway, Emporium says that he wasn't able to secure this tight. He hasn't been able to contact the Speedwagon footage yet, but he does have the CD on him. And he shows it off, and we see that the CD is perfectly centered on his stomach. But by the way, how is it staying on his stomach like that? Like stuck to his stomach? Like from what we can see, he doesn't have like tape on it or anything. So like, how is it just chilling there, not instantly falling out? I don't know. Maybe he taped it up there. Maybe he glued the thing to his stomach. I don't know what, but it's there. He has it on him. And that's when Jolene tells him that she's gonna break out of the prison, that she can't just sit here and wait. Emporium is very hesitant, like, no, wait, Jolene, we have to get the Speedwagon Foundation first. I hate to lose this after we spent so much time trying to get it. You know, Emporium, he isn't very keen on this breakout plan, because he even mentions like, yo, nobody's breaking out of the prison. Apparently, it's like the Alcatraz of fucking prisons of JoJo. At least in Florida, anyway. And then you can get extremely reference just for even conceptualizing the idea of going out. And I'm like, bro, you want to break out of prison? Bro, call my man Schofield from Prison Break. He'll get you right out there. Bro, I can say, guys, if y'all have not seen Prison Break, go watch it. It's a fantastic show. I've only seen like the first 2 seasons, the last one, because I watched it because my criminal justice teacher back in high school, he showed us the show on like the second hour of class after we went through Southland. I fell in love with it. It's like, I've been meaning to go and watch the other seasons that I missed, but yeah. Anyway, watch Prison Break. It's a fantastic show. It's fucking awesome. I love that show. Yeah, it's awesome. I can't recommend it enough. Go watch Prison Break if you haven't seen it. It's an amazing show. Anyway, that's like literally the first thing I thought when I heard. Whenever I think of Jailbreak, I just think of that show, man, because it's so fucking good, man. Schofield's such an awesome character. Anyway, I'm getting off track. So eventually, Emporium ends up like hearing someone come by, and that's when he kind of like disappears and runs away. Then we get introduced to a new stand user called Mew Mew, and we also see her stand, which I gotta say, a pretty cool design to stand. And honestly, at first I looked at like, what the fuck is this stand? Like, cause like its head more or less looks like a brain. I was like, what is this stand? What is its ability? As the episode progresses, we know what its abilities, what the abilities of the stand is, and it makes more sense why it's designed the way it is. Either way, shout out to Iraqi, man. I love the design for the stand. So basically, she says that she has a message from Palestine, and basically tells her, do not try to break out of the prison, or else. And she says, if you comply, we'll make sure the Speedwagon Foundation gets your father's disc, no problem. So, of course, Jolene does like everything she does as a typical Joe star, and goes and punches her. Which she like stuff like maybe like an inch or so away from her face, where her face is, and once again, she notices that the stand is now part of the bars, and once again, Mew Mew tells her, do not touch the bars, otherwise you will get an unfavorable end. And then next thing we know, she goes to punch her again, and when we cut back to when she is back in her normal prison cell, and she's back in her cell with Gwess. She's looking around, obviously being like, "What the hell's going on? Who are you? Where am I?" Eventually slowly starts remembering who she is and everything, and that's when she notices that these are all these notes all around her body, written in pen. And the first thing it says, like, grab a pen. The next one was like, hey, you can only remember up to 3 things. And bro, the second I saw this, I'm like, bro, this is literally just Memento. Araki out here ripping off Memento. And I checked the dates. Memento came out in 2000, and the Stone Ocean manga finished publication in 2003. It started in like December of '99. So there's a good chance that while Araki was writing the chapters in Weekly Shonen Jump, when Memento came out there, my man went to the local cinema and watched me and was like, write that down, write that down, write that down. Literally, you can't tell me it's not similar. You cannot tell me there isn't similarity between this and Memento. I hadn't even fucking seen Memento yet, and I could see the similarities to Memento. I need to watch it one day. I love Christopher Nolan, but I haven't seen it yet. Anyway, one day I'll watch Memento, and I'm sure I'll love it. Anyway. So yeah, literally this is like, let's say something like, bro, this is just Memento. Only difference is these aren't tattooed to her skin. Anyway. She slowly starts to put the pieces together, and she tries to talk to Gwess. Although weirdly, Gwess was like weirdly quiet during the scene. She's kind of like I don't know, just kind of quiet and just kind of kind of just like a little bit more introverted, I guess, than she usually is. From here, if I remember correctly, she's been usually like a lot more talkative and a bit more extroverted from what we see here. But like weirdly now, she's just kind of like super quiet and almost just doesn't want to talk to Jolene or just speak in general. I don't know if it's because she's been having to deal with Jolene losing with her memory loss for 2 days at this point, and she's just kind of it's really starting to and it's really just like taxing on her or something. But I just kind of found how Gwen's accent during this episode was just kind of strange compared to how we see it throughout the rest of the series. Although maybe there's a reason for it, you guys can tell me in the comments or whatever. But yeah, I thought that was a little strange. Anyways, when she starts to put the pieces together, Gwen tells her that yes, she wrote everything because Jolie figures out that this is all her handwriting, and eventually gives her a note where a note that was in her pocket that basically explained what happened. Because of a traumatic event that happened or traumatic shock that happened in the hole, which obviously would connect to whatever happened with Mew Mew, that she is basically gained short-term memory loss, and as mentioned a little bit before, she can only remember 3 new things. And it's been about 2 days since this is all happening. So she's been basically running in circles for about the last 2 days, basically. Gwen tells her, I hope she's feeling better. And then she starts looking over her body again, finds more notes. And one of them said, wash your hands and don't forget to wear your panties. And then Jolene kind of checks where like her underwear should be, and she's like, "Oh my God, there's more of this shit." So and just the way she just kind of ran to the bed, I'm assuming she wasn't wearing panties. At least that's how it came up. Maybe I'm wrong, and she was wearing them, but the way she ran, it seemed like she forgot to wear her panties. I don't know. That's just kind of how the way I kind of viewed it, how it kind of came off to me. Either way, man. And that's questions she knows anyone by name of Mew Mew. She says she does. Like, oh, well, you can ask new questions too, Jolene. And gives her basic description: split ends, blonde, about her height, stockings with holes in them, etc., etc., etc. She walks outside because she tells her that Quest just passed her. She looks around, then she sort of forgets, like, wait, why am I here? Who are you? Just kind of like forgets everything for a second, and then Mew Mew tells her, like, oh, you said you were hungry, you could get some lunch. You know, it's about to start right now. She's like, oh yeah, right. So she goes downstairs she goes downstairs as she passes by by Mew Mew. And it seems like Mew Mew just, at first I thought this was voiceover, but her mouth is moving, so which makes it seem that she's actually saying this to Jolene. I guess Jolene just doesn't hear her, where she says, you will never escape this prison, Jolene. Something like that. And we then get to Hermes as Emporium basically tells her, like, hey, FF is dead, we got the disc. Yeah. Then we get back to Day. She grabs a glass of water, spills it over the window, and saying, "Hey, you deserve it." We then get back to Jolene as she tries to get lunch, but the lunch lady is asking for a meal ticket, demanding her meal ticket. Which, correct me if I'm wrong, but was this like recently introduced? Because I'm pretty sure that every time we have seen the characters eat lunch in Part 6, never once was there ever any mentions of meal tickets. Either all of that was always just off screen. This is the first time we've ever seen this, or this was somehow introduced within the 2 days that Jolene was out. Regardless of such, she can't find it where she is, and the bloodsight basically tells her to fuck off and find it. She then writes down on her jacket to look for a meal ticket. She then finally goes upstairs and basically completely forgets why she was even there to begin with. She ends up seeing Gwess. Jeez, I don't know why I'm fumbling her name. Gwess's lunch, and she just starts eating it. You know, then Gwess shows up and he's like, "Hey, asshole, that's my lunch. What the fuck? You eat the cheese panini. That's the best thing on here." And then Gwess tells her that she had her lunch ticket in her pocket. She then says, like, "Oh, I'll just use it to grab one for you." And she's like, "No, don't worry, I'll use it to grab it myself." Which Gwess does, and eventually she leaves out there and also writes down on her hand, like, "Hey, I gave my meal ticket to Gwess. It's not missing or nothing." So then, Jolene goes back outside. We see her eating lunch again. This time, Mew Mew comes to her. Also, one thing I also thought was really cool about this episode that I might as well mention it here was that every time Jolene tries to remember something that happened in between the 2 days from when we last saw Jolene when she was in Emporium when we cut back to when she saw her back in her cell. They always kind of every time they show the footage of that, it's like super fuzzy looking and everything. I thought that was a really nice touch by David Production. I thought that looked really good to show off just kind of how that's how how Jolene's memories is fucked. So Gwen sits down, or not Gwen, Mew Mew sits down. She's like, oh yeah, don't worry, I stepped in a fucking cockroach, and starts wiping off her shoe before this fucking bitch puts her shoe, mind you, with the cockroach still on it, right on the woman's food. Absolutely deplorable, disgusting, disgraceful, I would say that. Like, bro, this is just common decency at this point. Like, come on, why are you doing this to Jolie? Anyway, she splits her hot dog in half, and then she's like, oh, my mistake. Put some mustard on there, put some ketchup then on there. Okay, at this point, I'm like, I can fuck with this, Back in my younger days, I used to eat my hot dogs with ketchup mustard. Now I just use mustard. I don't usually put onions on it, but me personally, I just prefer chili dogs in general over just regular hot dogs. But hey, I'm always down for a hot dog. I just some mustard on it. Hey, got some grilled onions, I'll put that on there too. But yeah, besides that, I just put mustard on it nowadays. I used to put ketchup mustard, but now I just put mustard on it. Anyway, so then she puts ketchup, and then she says dressing is the last touch, which I'm assuming is ranch because it was white. So I'm assuming it's ranch. I hope it's not mayo. And one thing I've also got that was also a nice little attention to detail by David Productions is that she takes a spoon and starts mixing them together, and if you pay attention to the mustard, you can actually see it change colors from the red and yellow to a more orangish color. Which I thought was a really nice attention to detail by David Production. For much shit as I give him for the background characters being just nothing but gray silhouettes, I give David Production credit for this for actually doing this, giving us this a little attention to detail with the color shade. I thought that was a really nice touch by David Productions. Anyway, she starts eating the food again. She's like, oh, thank you, it's delicious. Anyway, and then this woman spills her coffee on Jolie and then starts wiping her down. And of course, what she's going to do is wiping off all the notes Jolie has written on her body. And she even like, oh, you got some on your shoulder too. Let me take care of those. She get rid of all of them, basically left everything on her. Took all the notes off her, except the one that says that she can only remember up to 3 things. This is what she basically explains that yes, this is indeed her stand ability, that she gives people short-term memory loss and can only make them memorize or remember the 3 new things. She says that this is even worse than basically just forgetting your memories entirely, because you're basically just going to be running in circles, and eventually that would just defeat you and just get rid of any motivation you would have to break out of prison and just break your spirit, which I would agree with. If you just walked in circles all day, just constantly walked in circles, that probably would break your spirit. And once again, we get that fuzzy memory thing that I mentioned earlier that I thought looked really fucking cool. Of course, because of this, Jolene's struggling to remember what the hell was so important, what she had to do, because obviously she's lost everything that all the notes she already had in there. But eventually she remembers the one thing that's important, and she uses the threads of Stone Ocean to write down on her hand. That's go see Emporium. The one thing important that she has to remember. So then we cut over to Emporium. He has been shocked by that he spilled his water over an outlet, because of course he has, and just got electrocuted by it. Now I find this situation very bizarre, which I guess for JoJo that's very fitting, because we see that his water is one of those water jug things you put into water coolers, and I'm just like, bro, why is that on top of some shelf? Why is that even there? And he's like, oh no, I'm being electrocuted. And then he's like, and he even says, I have to pull the plug. But for some reason, this dude just crawls over basically to where the opening is, to the opening of the wall, so he can get out of his room, and just steps in and just puts his hand in the water again, rather than just turning to the left, pulling out the plug pulling out the part of the plug that isn't in the water, and just yanking it out. Like, bro, it's right there. All you need to do is turn left. Whatever the case may be, they might explain upon this later on. But anyway, this I thought was pretty cool, was that he gets electrocuted again, and basically the whole scene kind of repeats itself. But this time we get these little title cards showing up the memories that Emporium remembers that he has to do in order. Which you also see he also has the notes written on his hand. So it seems like both Jolie and Emporium were affected by the stand. And then we basically end the episode off with a computer inside of Emporium's room with Mew Mew's mugshot on it, as Mew Mew says, I think actually remembering that Jolie said something about wanting to see 4 minutes, she wants to go check just to be sure. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where the episode ends. Like I said, phenomenal episode, man. Loved a lot of the things David Production did this one with like the title cards, how they showed off the memories being super fuzzy and everything. A lot of good shit. And like I said, this episode was basically Memento. But Jay, I love Chris Nolan, so you're not gonna hear me complain about it. But I just thought that was funny, man. Anyway, guys, overall I give this episode a 9 out of 10, guys. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like if you did, subscribe if you're new. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Fliggin, links below. And as always, come back for more. See you guys next time.
You